Well, good morning, members. It's Sunday. Sunday is seedling day. It's the day that I put down all the seedlings that have been collected during the week, or the seeds that have been collected throughout the week that have been drying, and have a good look at all of the ones that are developing and transplant any new ones that need to be done. So this is something I do every Sunday. And so this is the last batch, one of the last batches, 4 batches going down today, 4 more Grexes, which is Bill Burgess. These ones have been collected over the past, I suppose, week and dried. Some were collected yesterday. They're quite sticky still. That would be these OB1 hybrids. So it's an OB1 that I've, as a seed parent, and I've crossed it with 2 other different pollens. So they've been dried off, added to their mixes, and now they'll go on the windowsill for development, and I'll show you that in a moment. So on the windowsill, this is where I start some of the seeds, mostly my Bill Burgess at this time of year, just because I like to keep a closer eye on them because they overheat really fast outside. The Bill Burgess are a little bit more delicate than some of the other forms that are growing outside, like Alcantarayas or some of the Neoregelias that have been growing for several months. These ones here are several weeks old, going back probably 4-6 weeks, I guess some of them go back to. We'll have a quick look at some of them, and then we'll move on to some more outside. These ones in this container, can you see them? Not the easiest to see. These are a Varetia, and they're a few weeks old. They're quite slow to grow Varetias, but anyway, that's Varetia. These ones in here, these are Bill Burgess that are 4-week old. So are the ones in that container, and this container as well. We've got some different Neoregelia, lots of different Neoregelia. There's also some Alcantarayas. So this is where they grow to begin with, and then we'll move on to the outside. So in this outside area, this is my potting area, but it's where I grow the seeds during autumn, I guess. And so these ones now are several months old. Can't see anything, can you, because all the lids are on, but I'm going to take some lids off. These are a whole assortment of Alcantaraya hybrids that I started pollinating last year, about October through to December last year, doing the pollens, and then waiting for the seeds to ripen and then putting them down. So I'll take off some lids and we'll have a look at those now that they're several months been growing. So back in August of this year, the seeds were harvested and then put down. It takes about a month for the Alcantarayas to start to develop quite well. So these ones are now 2 or 3 months old. These are all new hybrids. These ones that you're looking at are Glaceriana crossed with an Aladdin. Aladdin being a little red number, Glaceriana being a green number. There's lots of different vinicolors, crosses here as well. There's also Odoradas, which were selfed. Lots of new different varieties of Alcantarayas to grow up. There's also Neoregelias. These ones are Neo Shell Dance little seeds. Shell Dance crossed by itself, or a birds and a bees, I suppose you can call it. Variety, there's also this, which is Neoregelia Blueberry Tiger, which also selfs really well. These were just done just to test the seed viability. There was also some other varieties, some really nice Chantinii. So these are Eekmias, little tiny ones. These are from Aussie Maiden, which is a Rostropa hybrid. So a few little seedlings developing from that batch. There's also another batch here. The same ones again. None of these get touched for several months. They'll stay in these containers quite some time. They've no need to come out. when they do come out, it won't be probably until the end of this growing season. They can grow in these containers. The containers all have got little holes that have been put in the bottom for drainage, but they're a long way from reaching the tops of their lids, and alcants are notoriously slow at growing at this stage. But once they do start to, as long as they're well spread out like these ones are, then there's no need to worry about moving them around too much yet. We'll head into the other greenhouse and we'll have a look and see how they progress after a little bit more time. More flowers. Ooh, bubblegum coming into flower, which is A great, B bad. I need the pollen, and I guess I'm going to be pollinating this one as well. Another hybrid coming along. Oops, there's another nice one. These need their photos taken for registration. Seed distraction. Always get distracted when I head up here. Always a problem. Okay, we've entered the craziness of the seedling house. This is where not all but some of the seedlings are growing out. Now, some ones that are still quite small, these are Bill Burgess seedlings that were hybrids done quite some time ago. In actual fact, they were done back in December. And so by December, I mean December 20. So they're already quite ready to be moved out into their next pots. I'm just being really slack and delaying it. There's also Ichmeas here, also some Alcantarias that I haven't moved out yet. Lots of Ichmeas up in here as well. Neoregelias in the corner there. Alcantarias, see, if you leave them alone, they don't do too much. Okay, but when you start to separate them, which is what I've done here, they tend to grow quite quickly once you start to do that separating, especially once you start to put them into the next size up. Then they do grow. So these are the same age as those little ones. They just grow so much faster when you separate them. It's just how many elks or any new Greeks can you have all the same size, ready to go to market at the same time. That just floods the market, so I don't do that. These, some of the Bill Burgess that were hybridized a couple of years ago now. Starting to get some good size and colour. Several Grexes are hung up around the property now in different places. So I've been using these little hangers that I've been making to hang the smaller pots, where I can then just go along and hang quite a lot. They're very lightweight, easy to hang up around the property. No idea. This is the part that gets confusing sometimes. Now, all of these, so all of them are marked. They all have tags in them. Grex number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. This is number 3. These are all still very young plants. Same with the Neoregelias. These ones should be swapped over. These are Edite self. There's also another really pretty Neoregelia. Oh, sorry, this one's a Bill Burger. So this one here was planted in 2019, in November of 2019. In another year, this will flower. It'll be fully grown. So another year on top of that. So I estimate about 3 years. For Bill Burgess. We've got some nice little Neoregelias coming along. Different colours. There's lots of variegation. Whole trays filled with them. And so coming along and selecting specific ones out of the batches to keep, and the rest go off to the goats in time. This one here will be a little purple one, just a bit different to the most of which are that reddish colour. So it's a few more. Look at them all. So these ones were potted up a couple of weeks ago, were all green, had no colour, so they're just all starting to develop and show me some sort of coloration that they've got. These will be really large varieties. This is a Night Skies hybrid. This one here will be a smaller variety. Just finally getting some coloration. They still all need to be split up yet, so these are in what's called a community pot at that stage. Even these Neoregelias are growing really well. These are seedlings, so none of these are named or registered or anything like that. They're just seedlings growing out to see how they go. Some of them will be moved. Same with above, and same with all of these ones as well. They're all just seedlings, so I've just got to go through and one by one work out what ones are being kept and which ones are not. You see there's plenty. They're hanging up everywhere in this house, and this is just one of the seedling houses, but it shows you what they look like after a little bit of time, couple more years from the time the seeds go down to this, and then these can just grow now, plug on to the next size pots. Quite simple to do from here. We have even more hanging up throughout the property at different places. So these are the seeds that are developing. These ones are ready. This one is Cherry Lou. I've just put some of these down. So the seed themselves are swollen, they're quite soft and squishy, ready to be removed, and I have already taken the rest of these off. So while I'm planting the seeds today, I'll plant these as well. It's the same day. Now these ones also are just starting to mature, and I have a separate pot spare inside, so I'll take them in. You can see the change of colour between the green and these ones. So what I do is now I just pull out this whole spike and bring the spike in with the tag. Makes it a lot easier. So pull out the flower, I've still got its tag. I'll take that one inside as well and dry those seeds out. Needed to check. I still have several more here growing. There's these ones here, which is from this red curly form. Waiting on them. They're close, not quite ready yet. I've already taken them from OB1. And then there's this big Florences here, and another fluorescence there. There's probably another 5 more Grexes still to come before they're finished. And look at that lot, fat and swollen. And that is Japanese maple, everybody, before you start messaging me telling me it's something other than Japanese maple. You've got no idea how many people send me messages. This one here, the seeds are not quite ready yet. It's getting close. Very unusual fat little seed pods, but they were one of the first ones that I did as well, but they're not ready. They haven't changed colour. They're not soft yet. I'm getting there, but not quite. So that's what I do with my seedlings. Now, some of the bigger seedlings, and only bigger by size, not bigger by age, that are hanging up. There's a few more. So these are in the larger pots. These guys here are already, you see the height of them, getting some substantial size, some of them. This is all one Grex. Out of the Grexes, that giant enormous one in the middle, which is about 65 centimetres already. And then a few others as well that are looking good. We'll see how they develop, but interestingly, it's maybe a bit hard to see. Maybe not easy to see at all. They're marginetted. So the outer leaf, and you can just make it out there, this is the outer leaf is paler, and in this case it's actually quite pale once the red takes over. When the sun hits it, it glows, and you can see the band quite simply with that one. So it's interesting. Grex, there's not many in that Grex. 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 were kept. So what's a Grex? Very simply put, a Grex is when I put pollen A to pollen B and produce seeds. Those seeds, all of the babies from number C, that's a Grex. Now that Grex, every single plant will be different. There will be some which are similar, as is the case when I start to separate them. There are some that are definitely similar, but none of them are identical because we've mixed up the gene pool by doing the pollination. Even when you self a plant, they're not going to end up the same, especially they're not going to end up the same when you self them, because you go back to the parentage. So depending on what your parentage is, how many generations of parents there are away from the species, or how many crosses by crosses by crosses have been done, will determine how large a gene pool you have to play with, and in which case some of the gene pools can be huge, which means the variation in the seedlings is absolutely extraordinary. But then you need to determine what it is that you want. Do you want big? Do you want small? Do you want red? Do you want white? Do you want mottles? Do you want whatever? The reason that you're doing it and which ones stand out. So the ones that get registered or selected on and continue to grow need to have something about them that's different to the most, well, especially the parents. You don't want them looking like the parents. There's not much point to that. The idea is to grow something completely different. Some of these, for example, have got some gorgeous pinks in them. Both the same Grex, one is green and one is pink. This one then you have two completely different looking plants. Okay, so that's seed growing 101 easy. I'm going to go and snatch up these two that are in flower. I said I wouldn't be pollinating anymore, but I'll do these last two since they need to be photographed anyway. That's my walkthrough. Enjoy your week. Bye. So back inside, these are the little seed pods. Normally I would be drying them, but because I've already planted these ones, I'm just going to squeeze them in. It's just the last of the Grex. There's not many left in these ones, which is good. If they were really fat, full pods, they'd need to be washed to get off the outer gelatinous coating, which is called mucogenic coating. Trying to remove the coating is the best idea to prevent too much mould growth on your seedlings, which you definitely don't want. But just a couple in each of them, that's fine. Just a quick rinse down. And they can go back in. Now this particular hybrid, which is the last seeds that I've got out, not all the seeds are ready. It's the same as what I've got in here. Some seed pods from earlier that I pulled off that hadn't completely ripened. These three now probably can get put in with the rest of them. They're ready to go, so I'll squeeze them in, and that's the job done for the day. Now we just have to wait for a couple of years. Bye.